Hello friends, welcome to my channel Literary Sparks. So the notification for WBPSC Assistant Master Mistress is already out. So I hope you all have started your preparation very seriously because this is a golden opportunity to turn your dream of becoming a teacher into reality. So already in my channel I have uploaded videos on PYQs. I have solved and discussed the syllabus, and also I have compared how many questions from what topics were asked in PYQs previous year. So those will help you. If you have not watched, you go to the YouTube channel and you scroll down the playlist and you can watch the videos. So in MSc and SSC, School Service Commission and Madrasa Certificate Commission, there is no history of English literature. But in PSC exam, history of English literature is there, and many of you are actually wondering how to read it. So I'll make a video on that topic also, how you can read history of literature, what are the things, what are the points, what are the areas that you need to focus to master this topic, and what are the books you should read to prepare fully in this topic. Today we are going to take a mock test of 30 questions. As you already know that in 2015 and 18, these 2 years, there were 31 questions from history of English literature. So in this series of videos, I'll be uploading, I'll deal with history of English literature MCQs, most important MCQs expected, and this will definitely help you. So let's start with our first question. To which mythological character is Faustus compared in the prologue of Dr. Faustus? Perseus, Theseus, Icarus, Achilles. So you know Dr. Faustus' famous tragedy written by Christopher Marlowe, and in the prologue, Faustus, the protagonist of the play, is compared to a Greek mythological character, that is Icarus. So the answer will be Icarus. Next question: which one among the following is a set of metaphysical poets? See, these kinds of questions are actually asked always in history of English literature exam, especially in exams which deal with history of English literature. That there are so many groups: metaphysical poets, modern poets, romantic poets, London poets, movement poets, neo-romantic poets. So there are so many groups, literary groups, movements, and these are often asked in exam. So option A, John Dryden, George Herbert, and Alexander Pope. Option B, Henry Vaughan, John Dryden, and John Donne. Option C, John Donne, Henry Vaughan, and Andrew Marvell. Option D, Samuel Johnson, T.S. Eliot, and Herbert Grierson. So metaphysical poets during the late Elizabethan and Jacobean period we have, and I have actually discussed about the metaphysical poets in minute detail, that who coined the term metaphysical, why they are called metaphysical poets, what are the famous metaphysical poems that we need to refer to, and moreover what other critics they have said of the metaphysical poets. So actually, see option D, Samuel Johnson, T.S. Eliot, and Herbert Grierson, they have commented on metaphysical poets. And the answer to these questions will be option C, John Donne, Henry Vaughan, and Andrew Marvell. They were metaphysical poets. Option C, question. Next question. The Duchess of Malfi is based on the Duchess of Malfi. It's a revenge tragedy of blood by John Webster. So this play is based on a French romance, an Italian novella, a German fable, a Scottish chronicle. Its answer will be an Italian novella. Next question. Which of the following plays by Ben Jonson ends with the performance of a puppet play in imitation of Marlowe's Hero and Leander? So Ben Jonson, we know that Ben Jonson, he pioneered comedy of humors. আর পাপেট প্লে যেমন আমরা মেলায় দেখতে পাই, পুতুল নাচ যেটাকে বলি, অনেক সময় পুতুল বানানো থাকে কাঠের তৈরি, সেগুলো নাচ হয়, সেই পাপেট প্লে এটা কোন নাটকে রয়েছে বেন জনসন, and that is in imitation of Marlowe's Hero and Leander. So let us see the option. The Alchemist, Wolfgang, Bartholomew Fair, Every Man in His Human. So the answer will be Bartholomew Fair. See, এটা তোমরা how you can remember this actually, that puppet play যেটা মেলাতে হয়, যে কোনো আমরা মেলাতে দেখতে পাই, এবং বার্থোলোমিউ ফেয়ার এখানে দেখো মেলা কথাটা রয়েছে। সো ইউ ক্যান রিমেম্বার দিস ওয়ে। Next question: who among the following wrote Mazeppa, a long narrative poem about a 17th century military leader of Ukraine? See, Ukraine Russian war is there, it's still going on, so it's very important. And who wrote this long narrative poem, Mazeppa? William Cowper, Lord Byron, P.B. Shelley, S.T. Coleridge. The answer will be Lord Byron. তো এখানে তোমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছ যে মাজেপ্পা এটা একটা আননোন একটা কবিতা। আননোন মিন যে উই জেনারেলি ডোন্ট রেফার টু দিস। লর্ড বাইরনের কথা বললে আমরা ডন ওয়ান সম্বন্ধে পড়ি। তো এই ধরনের কোশ্চেন গুলো পরীক্ষাতে কিন্তু প্রায় জিজ্ঞেস করা হয়। সো হোয়াট ইউ নিড টু ডু দ্যাট when you read history of English literature, focus on the minor works of famous writers also. When you read Wordsworth, Coleridge, Shelley, Shakespeare, Milton, সেখানে তোমাদেরকে যে মাইনর ওয়ার্ক গুলো রয়েছে সেগুলো সম্বন্ধে আইডিয়া রাখতে হবে। These are often asked in questions that I'm telling you from my own experience of qualifying NET, JRF and West Bengal set, MA entrance, PhD entrance, assistant professor exams, those all those things, these questions I have gone through many state set exam also. So they ask this type of questions, and it is very very important. No, we can't predict what kind of questions we are going to face in the exam, so you have to read everything, each and everything. Next question: Matthew Arnold worked as a, so Matthew Arnold, we know he was a famous writer, but professionally সে কি করতো? A pastor, school inspector, librarian, rugby coach. So Matthew Arnold was professionally a school inspector. যেমন টি এস এলিয়ট হি ওয়ার্কড ইন এ ব্যাংকে তিনি একটা পোস্ট হোল্ড করতেন। সো দিস কাইন্ড অফ কোশ্চেন্স অলসো সামটাইমস বিকাম important. Why important? See, when the organizing agency or the exam conducting body, they intend to make the exam tough, competitive and difficult, hard, they mesmerize you, they hypnotize you with these types of questions. So you need to focus on these type of questions. These 30 questions I have not just randomly picked up, I have well thought and gone through the questions, and these are the samples, these are going to be samples, and you will get the ideas how you should read. Next question: what game do the characters play in Act 2 of Harold Pinter's The Birthday Party? Harold Pinter's Birthday Party is famous um, avant-garde play. It is in the postmodern period. So কি গেম খেলছে সেটা আমরা দেখতে পাই। A game of chess, a game of cards, blind man's buff, musical chairs. Its answer will be blind man's buff, what we call kanamachi. Kanamachi bobo, jake pabi take cho, that our eyes covered with handkerchief and we need to touch others, other players. That play they do play in this play. Next question: the phrase "the willing suspension of disbelief" occurs in. Say, willing suspension of disbelief. This term, who coined this and in which work do we find it? Biographia Literaria, Preface to Lyrical Ballads, In Defense of Poetry, Poetics. So its answer will be Biographia Literaria. This term, willing suspension of disbelief, was coined by S.T. Coleridge. Next question: who termed poetry as the breath and spirit of all knowledge? Keats, Shelley, Wordsworth, Coleridge. So we all know the famous quote that poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility. That we know, but they are not going to ask these easy questions. What they will ask, something different that we all of us don't know, many of us don't know. So the breath and spirit of all knowledge, this was said by William Wordsworth about poetry in his famous Preface to Lyrical Ballads. Next question we have: which of the following novels is structured into a poem of 999 lines, preceded by a foreword, followed by a commentary and an index? So when you see the questions, immediately you get the idea that this work is something which is going to be postmodern work, because in postmodern period, postmodern novels, we have so many experimentations. So this is a novel actually, but it is as if structure that it is a long poem. There is a forward, there is commentary, there is index, and what will be the answer? Ragtime, pale fire, the inner side of the wind, hourglass. Its answer will be pale fire. It is written by Vladimir Nabokov. Next question we have: in which poem did Dryden welcome the return of Charles II? So, return of Charles II, you are reminded of the Restoration period, that during the Puritan age, the Commonwealth period, Charles I was beheaded and there was Commonwealth, the rule of the people in Britain. So when there is the restoration in 1660, his son Charles II he returned from France, and to celebrate that, one of the famous poets of that period, John Dryden, he wrote a poem. What's the name of that poem? Astrea Redux, Annus Mirabilis, The Medal, Absalom, and Achitophel. Its answer is Astrea Redux, which means justice returns. Next question we have is: who among the following has written a series of poems entitled Very Indian Poems in Indian English? This is going to be very, very interesting. See, recently there is emphasis on Indian writings in English in all types of exams in English literature. Wherever there is literature, they are giving so much emphasis on Indian writing. So you need to be much careful about the Indian writers and about their works. So who has written this series of poems called Very Indian Poems in Indian English? Bikram Seth, Arun Kolatkar, Nissim Ezekiel, Keki, and Daruwala. Its answer is Nissim Ezekiel. So what does it mean that Indian English? Indian English means there is this famous poem Nissim Ezekiel, Goodbye Party for Peace Pushpa TS, another a railway clerk, and another the very title is an Indian poem in Indian English. So these three poems are known as very Indian poems in Indian English, and he is referring to how when the Indians during the British period they learned English for the first time. So they were making grammatical mistakes, using too much continuous tense. I am seeing, I'm telling, I'm watching, these kinds of things. And his poems, Nissim Ezekiel's, these poems reflect that syntax, that pronunciation, that tradition. Next question we have: which of the following work by Henry Fielding begins as a parody of Samuel Richardson Pamela? Now, Samuel Richardson Pamela, it is considered epistolary, first epistolary novel, and the theme is, of course, dealing with morality. So when there is too much morality, how a girl should behave and blah blah, all those things, and Henry Fielding, he began in a way as if mocking this tradition of morality as portrayed in Samuel Richardson Pamela in a novel. What is that novel? Tom Jones, Don Quixote, Amelia, Joseph Andrews. Its answer will be Joseph Andrews. Next question we have: in which of the following essays did Charles Lamb first use the pseudonym or persona alias? Essays of Elia we know, so this pseudonym, in which essay did he first use? My first play, The Two Races of Men, New Year's Eve, The South Sea House. Its answer will be South Sea House. So Charles Lamb, he worked in East India Company, and there was some clerk with the name Elia, and he borrowed that name and wrote these essays under that pseudonym. Next question, number 15. Which of the following periods of English literature is also called Puritan interregnum? The Neoclassical period, the Caroline Age, the Restoration, the Commonwealth period. Of course, its answer is Commonwealth periods, and I have discussed in detail why it is Commonwealth and what does this phrase Puritan interregnum mean. So if you have not watched that video, just go to my YouTube channel. I'll give the link in this in the description, so you can watch from there. I have discussed in very detail the time period of the period and all other periods in history of English literature. Next question: which of the following tales in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales deals with the murder of a child by Jews? So, murder of a child by Jews. So, a kind of anti-Semitism is portrayed and there is this long tradition of portraying the Jews as cruel, as murderer in history of English literature, like Jew of Malta or Shylock in Shakespeare. So, which of the tale in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales deals with the murder of a child by Jews? The monk's tale, the second nun's tale, the prioress's tale, the shipsman's tale. Its answer will be the prioress's tale. She is called Nun the Prioress. And even Nun the Prioress, and she tells this tale where we see that Christian child is murdered by Jews. Next question, the subtitle of the prelude is the prelude. It's written by William Wordsworth. It is his autobiographical epic. But again, there is a poem also called Preludes that is included in your syllabus. So you see, there are so many titles in English literature, Indian literature, American literature, which are very, very identical. The portrait of a lady, a portrait of a lady, a portrait of the artist as a young man, a portrait of the artist as a young dog, the a portrait of the artist as a young wife. So these kinds of identical titles are very confusing, and we get uneasy. Often we get confused. So in that on that topic also, I'll make a video where I'll cover these most important works which have the same title. So, what is the subtitle of the Prelude by William Wordsworth? Growth of a poet's mind, reflections of an age past, emotions recollected in tranquility, beliefs of a poet. So, if you read the subtitle, its answer will be the growth of a poet's mind, the prelude. And remember that the prelude is not complete actually, and it was published by Wordsworth's widow, his wife, after he died in 1850. Next questions. Keats's tombstones reads. So, what is there that is inscribed on the tombstone of John Keats? Here lies one whose name was writ in poetry. Here lies one whose name was writ in words. Here lies one whose name was writ in the hearts. And here lies one whose name was writ in water. And it's a famous line that we see in history of English literature. That answer will be option D. Here lies one whose name was writ in water. And about Keats, it is said that Keats was a Christian. He was a Hellenistic person because of his love of ancient Greek culture, Greek art, Greek literature. Next question we have Dryden's All for Love was written in imitation of Shakespeare. So John Dryden's All for Love, it is heroic tragedy. It is called heroic tragedy. So this was written in imitation of Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, Romeo and Juliet, The Merchant of Venice, Twelfth Night. Its answer is Antony and Cleopatra. So John Dryden, he has reworked William Shakespeare's play Antony and Cleopatra and named it All for Love. And remember that sometimes its subtitle is also asked. Its subtitle is The World Well Lost. All for Love or The World Well Lost. And not only John Dryden, there were many writers after Shakespeare who came after Shakespeare who reworked Shakespeare's works or they borrowed titles from Shakespeare's works also. And I'll make a video on that also, and these become sometimes important. Next question, who gave an elaborate distinction between fancy and imagination? These questions from literary criticism actually, but it is included in history of literature. There were a few questions in previous year on literary criticism, particularly that who coined this term or who proposed this idea. So who made this distinction between fancy and imagination? This is a very important topic in literary criticism. Joseph Addison, Richard Steele, S.T. Coleridge, William Wordsworth. Its answer is S.T. Coleridge. So it is S.T. Coleridge in Biographia Literaria who coined willing suspension of disbelief. Then he is the person also who has divided between fancy and imagination. He has divided fancy from imagination. Next question we have question number 21. Who wrote preface to the works of Shakespeare? In short, we call it preface to Shakespeare, 1725. Dryden, Johnson, Pope, Addison. Its answer is Alexander Pope. Next question, the author of The Home and the World is Manmohan Ghosh, Sri Aurobindo, Rabindranath Tagore, Murkrajana. So as I told you already that there is much emphasis on Indian writing. This is actually good that they are focusing on our tradition, our literature, and we should know about our Indian literature, whether classical literature, Sanskrit literature, or Indian English literature, or the vernacular literatures, all those literatures in the indigenous languages, Bengali, Oriya, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Hindi, translated in English. We should know all about this also. So the home and the world, it is the famous work Ghore Baire. We call it Ghore Baire, original title in Bengali, written by Rabindranath Tagore. So its answer would be Rabindranath Tagore. Next question: who was the first recipient of the Sahitya Academy Award for English Literature? Mulk Raj Anand, R. K. Narayan, Raja Rao, Nayantara Sehgal. So its answer is R. K. Narayan, of course. Rasipuram Krishnasamy Iyer Narayan Samy. This is the full name he has, and he was awarded the Sahitya Academy Award for the novel The Guide that is prescribed in your syllabus. And I have actually made two videos in minute detail. I have discussed the guide, important points and the plot outlines and the characters and incidents. So if you have not watched that, you can just click on the link in description video. You can go to the YouTube channel and watch that. Next question we have: who is the chief rebel in Paradise Lost? See, these questions you may get it from the text, as Paradise Lost book 1 is prescribed in our syllabus, or you can consider it history of English literature also. So who is the chief rebel? Lucifer, Raphael, Adam, Belial. So Adam is not definitely, and its answer is Lucifer. Lucifer, he was an angel also, and then he rebels against God. He becomes a fallen angel, and he turns into Satan. So if they ask what was the original name, or what is the name of Satan before his fall, before his fall from heaven, its answer will be Lucifer. Next question we have: the term comedy of menace is associated with the early plays of Arnold Wesker, John Wright, John Arden, Harold Pinter, David Hare. So this question was actually asked in previous year, but the question was different. That who coined the term the comedy of menace? And in that video, I have discussed it in detail. So it was Irving Wardle, a theater critic, a drama critic, who coined the term. But when you see the question, when they ask that with which plays we associate this term, the comedy of menace. Menace is fear. So there is something strange, something unknown. So if you read about it, but you will see some two strange men. They come and they just keep supervision of the protagonist, the hero. So the hero is always in fear of something which is not revealed. So a kind of atmosphere, an atmosphere of fear is there. That's why we call comedy of mirrors, and its answer is Harold Pinter. Next question we have: Oliver Twist is also known as The Undertaker, The Paris Boys Progress, The Trials and Tribulations of Oliver, Twist of Fate. So the subtitle of Oliver Twist is The Paris Boys Progress. So from there you get the answer. So sometimes they ask this way that what is its other name, what is its subtitle, or is also known as. So there are many works which have titles as well as subtitles. I'll make a separate video on that also. Next question we have: what is common to the following women characters in Shakespeare? So there are characters from various plays by William Shakespeare, and what is the common thing among them? Julia in The Two Gentlemen of Verona, Rosalind in As You Like It, that this text is prescribed in Syllabus, Viola in Twelfth Night, and Imogen in Cymbeline. They disguise themselves as nuns and go in exile. They disguise themselves as boys in pursuit of their lovers. They are all victims of treachery by their lovers. They all organize revolts against their respective masters. See, if only you have read this text As You Like It, and you are familiar with the story of the play, you know that Rosalind, she disguises herself as a boy in pursuit of her lover. So from there only, so all other three options don't go with Rosalind. So if you know only one option, only one text you are familiar, you know the answer. This way sometimes you can just assume the answer. You can arrive at conclusion which will be the answer. Next question we have, what is the subtitle of the novel Tess of the Dearborvils? So what is the subtitle? A pure woman faithfully represented, and impure woman faithfully presented, a pure woman faithfully presented, a pure woman unfaithfully presented. See, when we get such confusing options, we should be a bit careful. You should not be in hurry that you have get the questions common. You know the answer, but be careful because the options they give are tricky actually. So its answer is a pure woman faithfully presented. So answer will be option C. Next question we have, identify the poem written by Alfred Tennyson which contains the following line: to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. It's very easy. You have already read it about Maud Ulysses in Memoriam Locksley Hill Hall. So its answer is Ulysses. It is. I find this line particularly very motivational. That you should never give up. You always should try. Next question we have, the writer who wrote a poem in memory of Yeats, WBS, is Eliot Warden C. de Lewis Edith Sitwell. So there is a very famous elegy written in the modern period, and the title of the elegy is In Memory of W.B. Yeats. It is written by W.H. Auden. W.H. Auden, he is known as 30s poets. There were four poets in the during the 1930s. They are known as 30s poets or leftist poets or Marxist poets or Oxford poets. There are so many names we associate with them. So, friends, this was the set of 30 concepts of history of English literature, and you can refer to them. So, from here, you can get the idea that what way you should read, and moreover. In upcoming days I'll upload videos on other topics also, so stay tuned, and to make sure that you don't miss any of these videos, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.